Long ago, as Gautama Buddha traveled through villages sharing his teachings, people approached him with a wide variety of questions. They asked about happiness and suffering. But the human condition has always included a different, quieter problem, a mind that simply never stops processing. One evening, a young man sought out the Buddha. His face was visibly tired, his eyes darting and restless. He carried the physical weight of constant mental motion, telling the master that his thoughts felt like an endless storm. He detailed his exact symptoms. Thinking about the future brought paralyzing fear, and remembering his past brought heavy regret. Even in moments of complete safety, when nothing was wrong, his brain actively manufactured new problems to worry about. His external life was relatively secure, yet his suffering was intense. The danger was entirely internal, generated by a psychological storm he could neither escape nor sleep through. Buddha listened patiently. Instead of offering an immediate remedy, he asked a surprisingly simple question. "Tell me, where do these thoughts come from?" The young man answered with the obvious. "They come from my mind, of course." Buddha smiled gently and followed up. "And who is the master of your mind?" The young man hesitated. Up until that moment, he had never conceptualized his mind as a separate tool, something that required direction rather than something that automatically directed him. Modern anxiety often stems from this exact blind spot. We operate under the mistaken belief that we are identical to our uncontrolled thoughts, leaving us entirely at their mercy. Buddha explained this through the concept of the monkey mind. Look at this visualization of human attention. A single point of focus constantly jumps between unfulfilled desires, past regrets, and future anxieties. It acts exactly like a monkey swinging from branch to branch, grabbing one fruit only to immediately throw it away and leap to the next. This continuous, uncontrolled jumping exhausts the host. The mind never actually rests in the present moment. Instead, it burns vast amounts of energy to constantly simulate scenarios that haven't happened yet. But a monkey eventually becomes calm when it realizes it is not required to chase every single impulse in the forest. Buddha taught that the mind follows the exact same rule. This discipline of single-pointed attention is a skill actively passed down through monastic study. The focus is trained to remain on one specific task or text, actively stripping away the urge to constantly jump to the next distraction. Mental exhaustion does not come from the mere existence of thoughts. It comes from the massive energy spent endlessly chasing those thoughts from branch to branch. To prove that forceful interference doesn't work, Buddha picked up a bowl of water and a stick, initiating a physical demonstration of how our psychology operates. He stirred the bottom until the water became thick and muddy. This swirling dirt represents our active, forceful attempts to stop our own worrying. Wrestling with your thoughts only creates more turbulence in the water. Buddha then placed the bowl on the ground. He deliberately chose the action, simply sitting quietly alongside the young man and waiting without touching the water again. Slowly, the physics of the water took over. The mud naturally settled to the bottom. Without any interference, the water returned entirely to its clear state. Peace cannot be forced. Any attempt to aggressively wrestle the mind into submission only agitates the mud further. Clarity returns naturally when the water is left undisturbed. The young man understood the metaphor, but faced a practical barrier. How do you actually stop thoughts from controlling you without forcefully fighting them? Buddha offered a shift in perspective called observation. The key is to treat thoughts as passing weather rather than permanent defining realities. Look at this model dividing human experience. There's a sharp difference between temporary passing thoughts, acting like clouds, and the permanent foundation of awareness, the sky. Buddha's application. When restless, pause. Take a slow breath. Return attention to the present moment, letting the mental weather pass. Mastering the mind requires stepping out of the storm entirely. You must stop being the weather and start being the sky. Before leaving, the young man experienced a profound shift. He arrived with a mind full of chaos, but left carrying a quiet, practical understanding of his own awareness. This ancient lesson connects to a collective practice surviving for centuries. It relies on communities training together to cultivate and embody this exact stillness. Against the backdrop of an increasingly chaotic world, this philosophy remains solid. It represents an immense, unwavering stillness that outlasts any temporary storm of anxiety. True freedom is not found in the impossible task of eliminating chaotic thoughts. It is found in cultivating the patience to simply watch them pass.